Good morning. Today is Sunday, April 7th, 2024, and this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast, looking at where Bitcoin went in the past week and where it could potentially go in the future. So this past week was kind of, I don't think there was really a ton of movement in the market, at least nothing notable in my opinion. So we had this is the month of April. You have March, and then February, so on and so forth. This is the 7th month since September. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 months in a row that we've had positive closes. That has not happened before in Bitcoin. April will more than likely see a positive close too. So we'll likely see an 8th month in a row, just based on the way things are going. The halving happens in approximately a week and a half. We're about a week and a half away from the 4th Bitcoin halving, which is, again, one of the most important events in all of crypto. It's for sure one of the most important events in Bitcoin. So at this point, it happens about once every 4 years. And I say about because it's not an actual date. It's more so of an event. Once the blockchain gets past every 210,000 blocks, I think we have a halving. So at this point, we're approaching that. So let me see what Bitcoin block we're on. So we are currently on block. Okay, well, that's going to take a second to load. That's fine. Okay. We are on block 838,123. So if I do that like this, 800, let's do this. 823,123 divided by 210,000. That's how many blocks we have. So you can see right now, we're pretty much there. 3.9. So roughly this is coming up on the 4th Bitcoin halving. So that number makes sense. 3.9, so on and so forth. So yeah, that kind of shows you where we're at with the blockchain, but let's look at the chart. So again, this has been the monthly chart. We went down. It was a very selling month, and we'll talk about why that was later. It sold initially this past week or so, and then we just kind of recovered. We recovered over half of that damage to the downside. A lot of the selling has really been due to Grayscale, and that's and actually I'll probably talk about that before I go into the other stuff. So let's look at it why. So this is your Bitcoin spot ETF flows. I kind of talked about this maybe a week or two ago. Really what you have here is the different ETFs. So you have IBIT, which is Grayscale. I'm sorry, IBIT is BlackRock. Grayscale is in the pink. FBTC is Fidelity. ARK is the purple. That's Cathie Woods and all of them. And then there's about 5 to 6 other block ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs pretty much. But really the major damage is coming from these 4 right now. Grayscale on the sell side, as you can see, it's all pink down here and a couple little traces of whatever. I think it looks like ARK sold a little bit there. This is BlackRock, and they are responsible for the majority of buying. And then you also have Fidelity and ARK, which are, really the other 4. If you put all these 4 together combined, they probably didn't equal the first week worth of Grayscale's buying and selling. But really, as you can see, Grayscale is getting rid of a lot of Bitcoin, and then the question becomes why? Why are they getting rid of so much of their Bitcoin? And really, it becomes down to the compliance, right? It's for the ETF. Really, they're just taking profits at this point. They've been holding these Bitcoin for years. Like they had hundreds of about 600,000 worth, I believe. I was going to say with Grayscale, the ETFs, they require you to hold a certain amount of Bitcoin that is, relative to the amount of ETFs that you're selling. So it's based on your supply and demand. The ETFs are all forced buyers because, again, they have to hold a certain amount of Bitcoin in order to sell ETFs. But Grayscale, they have such an abundance of Bitcoin on their hands that they can just start taking profit now because they know that all the other ETFs need and want them. So this is not a bad play for them. This is not bad at all. But a lot of the reason that I think these are selling. So it comes down to fees. So let's look at we're in a period of how do I want to put this? It's like we're repositioning. Where it's a transition period. So right now, this is the ETFs and it's sorted by fees. So you have Franklin Templeton, and it's again, you go all the way from 0.19 all the way down to Grayscale, which is at 1.5%. So you got to ask yourself as an investor, why would I pay an extra, 1.3% for Grayscale when I could get it from Franklin, or I could get it from BlackRock, which is all these are pretty much the same for the most part, anywhere from 0.19 to 0.25, roughly the same. So it comes down to, do I trust the company? Do I believe they're going to have other incentives for me doing it down the line? But right now, I don't see why people have a crazy incentive to stay with Grayscale. And again, I think they have other plans in the future, but that's just kind of what we're looking at right now. Going back to the chart, because that's what we're really here for, is we'll go down to the weekly chart for a second. We saw that we took this major runoff, and from here, what is this? This is the end of March, and then this is April. Like the April monthly candle is the same candle as the weekly candle, because again, it's only been 7 days. Came all the way down here and then shot back up within the last couple days. So this price action makes a lot of sense to me, and I'll explain why once we put on the drawings here. We talked about last week, and I have not updated the drawings. No need to, because again, nothing has happened at this point. Going down to the daily chart, what I'm really after is, again, we had this major run up all the way from this is January. We broke out of this upper channel, and then not only did we break out, let's zoom out a little bit. Actually, we'll go back to the weekly chart. We broke out of this channel that we had been in since 2022. It was just ranging. This channel, October was a huge month. We came down, and ever since January, we've been running back up. So this is a very healthy breather in my opinion. Like, you can't just go straight up forever, or you will come down crashing pretty hard as well. So yeah, that's kind of it where we're at. Let's take a look here. Going back to the daily chart, you have this movement, this consolidation pattern. This is explosive behavior, and you see it all the time in Bitcoin, and it's been super reliable for me, at least. So you have this consolidation pattern where it goes up and down and up and down, and so we're on the daily chart now. We look at this is the start of the week. This was last week Sunday. We came out the gate dumping. On Monday and Tuesday, all we did was come down to the bottom of this channel. We came down to the bottom of the channel, and then we went back up. So it's very possible we could come back down to the bottom of the channel one more time on maybe mid this week, or mid to late this week, and then continue on to the upside. So I'm not worried that this price is somewhat moved out of this channel. That doesn't concern me. Only because it still has very much so stayed contained. Now, if you start doing something crazy like breaking way down here, then yes, we need to reconsider what is actually going on in the market at this point. But I just don't see that being a big possibility. So it's not one that I really want to consider a ton. And the thing is that this kind of limits what there is to talk about a ton this week, because I try to keep these to about 10 to 15 minutes every week. But right now, the real answer is, like, what's the market doing? Well, we're in somewhat of a holding pattern. We're in a holding pattern, and until that breaks out to the upside or it breaks out to the downside, you got to consider both cases. You're not really going to have a ton of price action to actually talk about. So, we can look for zones. There was a little bit of imbalance here, but that came down and got cleaned up at the start of the week immediately. But then look at this candle. Like, this one candle erased 3 4-hour candles, and really 4 almost 3 4-hour candles in a row. So came down, swept that imbalance, came back up, and then just kind of floated on top of these moving averages. So you have your 50 and your 100, and continued on to the upside. This makes sense why we're seeing a little bit of a pause here, because you have this imbalance that kind of got cleaned up here actually, but this is just it's kind of a double top. So I guess you came down here. 1, 2, you have the top that's kind of starting from this zone right here. So I think you probably will see some type of return, maybe down to here. And again, the halving is about a week and a half away. So maybe one last push down before we go up, or we could very much so just continue to blow up to the upside. We could continue to just go and then move on from there. So I think we'll probably do one of these, boom, come down here, retest, and then just go right back up. Or we could just go right up to 80. It's very interesting to see what the actual halving price is going to be before the halving. So I'm saying halving date projection is somewhere around, let's look at this. The halving date projection is somewhere between, I think it was like the 14th. So really next week. It's somewhere between there and the 20th. If it happens on 420, I'm gonna be insufferable, y'all. It's gonna be too well planned because there's no way the fourth Bitcoin happening on 420. I just think that would be hilarious. But this is pretty much your zone right here to see like what could happen with the halving. I personally think it'll probably happen a little bit closer to maybe the 18th or the 19th. Their projections right now, and again, they get more and more accurate every day because again, we're closing in. So we'll see. We will see what date the halving falls on, and then we'll kind of go from there. But for right now, yeah, we're in a holding pattern until we break out. I'm not concerned at all about it. Eventually, Grayscale is going to run out of Bitcoin to sell, and it's going to be, straight demand driving the market, and we're going to go to the upside. So, again, this has been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out our crypto-based resources on christalkscrypto.com, and I will see y'all on the moon. Take care. Enjoy the eclipse too. That's happening tomorrow, so that should be cool if you're in the path. So, other than that, y'all take care. Have a great week. Bye bye.